All right. Good evening and welcome to the power of autophagy, striking a balance, which is real key with everything. So let's kind of go into this. First thing we want to ask the question is what is autophagy? People have thrown that word around. I've been using it since the beginning of 2022. Definitely feel as though it's part of a strategy to be able to lose weight and gain vitality. It's key in any longevity strategy. But let's go into the actual definition. So, autophagy is the self degradative process that targets cell constituents that are damaged or aged, mitochondria in some cases. It aids in the removal of cellular trash. So, it's recycling old, misfolded proteins, mitochondria, and cycles it out so you can bring in some new mitochondria to boost your health. So very very simple in terms of what the definition is. It's derives from the Greek word to self consume. Now, my name is Sharif Christmas, and I am not a doctor, but I am the creator of vertical fasting, which I created in 2021. And with that, I was able to lose 60 pounds by October of 2021. Started my program in June, and I have kept the weight off ever since. So I'm not a doctor, but I have a proven strategy. I've executed a strategy of not only weight loss, but weight maintenance for the last year. So that's my claim to fame. So again, maintain the weight loss. I also improved using autophagy, improved my heart health, blood pressure, and fasting blood sugars. And I'm an individual who loves to eat. So that kind of banks up on one of the key issues here, food. So food is our issue because there are a couple of things that you have to understand about food. One, it's the types of foods we eat, the types of preservatives, the types of chemicals they put in the foods today really has an effect. But one of the key issues here is heart disease, which has been on the rise and is the number one cause of death in America. And there is a correlation between metabolic syndrome, which is and consists of insulin resistance, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and non-alcoholic fatty liver that eventually leads to a collection of fat in and around our body, midsection, legs, and things of that nature. Um, Over 70% of Americans are overweight in some form of way. And a lot of it is contributed to the food we eat and the volumes in which we eat them. Some people are eating constantly all day long, but we constantly burn or in this mode of burning carbohydrates. So we're very inflexible in terms of how our bodies are constructed, what they're built to do, built to store fat, and then use it at another time. Usually that time doesn't come because there's so much readily available food that gets converted into glucose that then just never gets to be burnt, and it ends up stacking up as fat, and then a whole host of issues happen. So what you want to try to do and what autophagy promotes is metabolic flexibility, and that's the ability to recycle fat, misfolded protein cells in a caloric deficit, giving you the ability to burn fats again. So being or getting metabolic flexibility is the ability to burn, the two main sources of fuel, which are glucose and fat. Right now, when you're overweight and have some of these issues, primarily you are burning glucose and your body depends on it. That's why you get the cravings. So it's very key to periodically remove cellular junk such as those misfolded proteins, the misfiring cells that at some juncture in your life can cause some issues if they're hanging around. These, scientists or research shows, could be the ones that are causing cancer, tumors, and things of that nature. Also, we're talking about damaged mitochondria. That, when you put this strategy together, it completes an overall longevity strategy and puts you on a path of excellent health and fitness. So let's talk about, what the value is here, because there is a value to everything. So when you recycle your cellular junk, research shows that it improves your blood pressure. So your blood pressure improves, your resting heart rate, your insulin sensitivity. All of these become heightened and at levels in which your doctor loves. Your blood pressure, and when you go about a change where you're recycling that junk and you're building and rejuvenating you're taking out the old and rejuvenating the new, now you have the ability to get these health metrics in shape. Your resting or your fasting insulin levels below 90, your heart rate, your blood pressure, getting that 110/76 and 60 from a resting perspective. So these are the activities from being very vigorous that I like to do. I did a half marathon this year. I also did a lot of paddle boarding while I was on St. John. So being able to have this vitality by recycling out and doing exercise and building my heart strength, really at the age of 53 gives me the ability to move around like as if I were 30. So just want to lay that out there to you. I see a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds today walking around like they're 60, but you can correct that. These are things that you can do. So let's talk about the advantage of fasting and exercise. So beginning of this year and last year, I was very diligent in doing two things. So within my weight loss process, it was not only fasting or vertical fasting, which I call it, because we're not doing intermittent fasting where we're doing eight hours eating 16 hours. We're doing 20, like warrior fast, 20 hours, 24 hours, some of the longer fasts, 36 hours, really moving up the train, but also getting some exercise while we're fasting. So that's what I call my fasted state workouts in 2022. Now, people were talking about this. A lot of people were talking about keto, but keto is just a meal plan. Keto doesn't get you to recycling your cellular trash. Keto, because when you do a keto, it's low carb, but you're also eating proteins. And when you eat proteins, what you elicit is something called mTOR. And mTOR is the opposite of autophagy. So when your autophagy levels are high, mTOR is low. When mTOR is high, autophagy levels are low. So you don't have any autophagy going on with mTOR. And when you're eating protein, that's when mTOR is on the stage. So just a quick piece of that, because I think everyone needs to understand, this whole process and how it works. So let's talk about one key point. We talked about the advantages of fasting and exercise, but let's talk about the key entry points here. So there are entry points in terms of how you get into autophagy. One is fasting, but you have to fast for at least 20 to 24 hours before you really get into that state of autophagy. After you get into the first state you'll get into is gluconeogenesis, which is right around hour 15, 16, where you start breaking down misfolded proteins, in the form of like skin, tendons, things that you just are not necessary, that get broken down and then converted into glucose. Then you go into autophagy right around hour, 18, 19, 20, 25-ish, around there, somewhere around there. I like to be in the 25-hour zone from that perspective. But then you can also get into autophagy from high intensity workouts. So doing, sprints, or doing what I do on the treadmill sometimes, where I'll crank it up to 10, do that for a minute, rest, then do it at 3 more sets, and then crank it up to 11 or 12, as high as I can go, and really get a good burn. That will elicit autophagy as well. Now, with fasted state workouts, what we do is we get to hour 12 of a fast and we work out. We'll go out and run 5 miles, 7 miles, 10 miles, and we get the aerobic effect. But the key point is when we are fasting, we're also trying to do some sort of workout and then hold that workout so that we're getting the benefits, from the heart health and burning the fats and getting it into autophagy quicker. So we talked about the entry points, but let's talk about some of the benefits because, people don't understand this, but as you get older, some of your cells, they get compromised. And by promoting intracellular material circulation and cellular self-renewal, can maintain cardiac function, recycling of cardiomyocytes, which you could call the mitochondria of the heart. So these cells, if you can recycle them, think of somebody who's walking up a flight of steps all the time, and they're sweaty, they're hot, and their face is red, and they're almost out of breath. And then think about that same person or a different person walking up. They've got no problems. They've got their heart muscles pumping efficiently. When you can recycle these cardiomyocytes, you can bring your resting heart rate down, which is key. Also, your blood pressure. So this is one of the advantages of autophagy, when you're able to recycle some of those older misfolded protein cellular junk within your cardiomyocytes and bringing those to a point where you're getting better heart health. And it's not just your heart health, it's also the brain. Autophagy affects the brain, the liver, your muscles. If you have insulin resistance, your muscles start to degrade, they start to waste. And if you don't have the ability to go through this whole autophagy process, which protects your muscle, your liver, your brain in the form of ketones, when you burn, you become metabolic flexible or get that flexibility, now you're feeding your brain ketones, which has a great effect in terms of improving circulation, some neuroplasticity and things of that nature. So the heart, the brain, the liver, your muscles are all benefit from autophagy. And it benefits significantly when you mix autophagy with exercise. Like I said, you can get into autophagy with just by fasting, but you can also get into autophagy quicker when you do exercise and combine that with fasting. You want to be in a depleted state in terms of your muscle glycogen. Once that's depleted, now autophagy can come about. Again, as mTOR decreases and insulin levels decrease, then autophagy and things of that nature, and mitophagy, which we didn't talk about, but mitophagy is the recycling of your mitochondria. So autophagy with exercise protects, it helps your heart, liver, your skeletal muscle, and brain from atrophy by recycling the cellular trash. So key points here. People always talk about like bodybuilders, like, oh yeah, if you fast, then it's not doing anything, you're burning muscle. But no, fasting and the phase of autophagy helps promote the building and the strength and of your heart, your brain, and your muscles, which are all key. So key things to understand there. And I'm going to share a little bit of my personal experience. So I've gone through this stage of autophagy. And when I was doing those fasts back in 2021, I got to a point because I wasn't getting the benefits I thought I should be getting. So I started my weight program in January of 2021, right around the June timeframe. I figured I should at least been down by 20 pounds. I wasn't. My weight was going down, but I didn't see any significant gains that I thought I'd get within the next 1 month. I was running 100 or walking. I wasn't running because I had too much inflammation. I couldn't run. I tried to run 10 miles and it hurt. I got through it because I toughed it out, but it was tough. So right around June of 2021, I said, look, I got to research and do something different because this is not working. I'm not losing the weight I should. So that's when I got into this vertical fasting. And it all started with this concept of the warrior fast, where you fast for 20 hours and then you eat for 4 hours. So I did that. Basically, that was the concept for the month of July, but I got so good at it that I was able to start mixing in some longer fasts. So I got into the 24-hour. So I did 24 hours on, 1 hour eat window. And then towards the end of the month, I got really good. And I said, look, I might as well try a 48-hour fast. I ended up starting a 48-hour fast on the 26th of June. Not June, the 26th of July. And I ended up completing a 52-hour fast at the end of July. So I lost about 17, 18 pounds, more weight than I lost the whole year, walking and doing a simple program that I always did. But within, 30 days, I lost 17 pounds and was astounded. So I said, hey, I'm going to keep doing it. And I did it all the way to the rest of the year. Actually, I don't think since that first fast in July 1, I haven't broke a fast or not fasted a day since then. I've been fasting for the last, year and a half. But this is what I really noticed here. So, and it's not just my commitment to fasting, but I noticed, as you see in this picture, right around 7/20, 2021, I was, just doing little workouts. I wasn't really working out, but I was fasting. So, my body was changing, but still, it look like an old guy, look like a chubby guy over on the left. And then over on the right, come August, and this is after I did that long fast. And I also did a little bit of weight training and a little bit of running, more running, but light running, not a lot, in a fasted state. Everything I did was in a fasted state. You can see the recomposition of my body. My body looks a lot more thinner. The fat looks like it just is peeled off. And my arms look thin. My legs look thin. I mean, there's no stretch marks there. There's no, loose skin. I mean, I have a very youthful look over on the right. And that's from fasting. And like I said, you get into autophagy right around hour, to be safe, hour 20. But I was getting into autophagy faster because of my workouts. I was mixing workouts with the fast. So I just want to, share that. But this is the proof. I mean, you see the fat guy over on the left, and then you see the slim guy over on the right. That is the outcome, or, it's contributed to autophagy and fasted state workouts and burning fat, being able to burn a lot of fat quick based off of fasting. And I ate what I wanted to eat while I was in this process. I wasn't skimping on carbs and things of that nature. I wasn't low carb. It wasn't any of that. I ate when I got into the window, I broke the fast the right way with a salad. And then after that, I just kind of ate what I wanted to eat. So just kind of being, very transparent from that perspective. So, but what I did find is that removing and doing this fast and going through this process of autophagy, I was removing inflammation and achieving a higher quality of life where I was free of any type of medication or supplements or failing diets. Because like I said, I was eating what I want. So I wasn't getting crushed where I was looking and seeing the weight come back on because a combination of the fasting, the fasted state workouts, and the foods I would eat, the polyphenols that I would eat when I'm breaking the fast, which is like a salad, olive oil, avocado, eating goat cheese, clean food to start the day. And then, I ate the things that I wanted to eat. So what I also noticed is that my HGH levels were up, and also my testosterone levels were through the roof, bottom line. And, I didn't have to pay anyone for any type of surgery or concoctions. So kind of to sum this and put a fine point on this. So working out in a fasted state is going to help you. You can't just do fasting and think you're going to do fasting and then sit around and do nothing and drink tea. You got to get out and move, work, and then hold to burn. So if I do a workout, if I start my fast at 8 o'clock, I go to the gym at 6 o'clock, I'm going to hold that fast till 8 o'clock, maybe 9 or 10 o'clock, a couple hours afterwards to get that, that burn of fat. And because my body's going to be requesting some nutrients, and I've got nutrients I can give it. So it's just an opportunity to do that. So moderate exercise can stimulate increased levels of cellular autophagy, which we talked about, being able to do fasting and doing workouts. So thereby preventing or alleviating the development of various cardiac diseases. So again, metabolic syndrome leads to a lot of these cardiac diseases, and being able to do these fasted state workouts, burn the fats, and be very quick to hold the fast and burn, additional fat at the same time, is giving us the ability, by combining these workouts, to have a clean, outcome from a health perspective. Again, all my health metrics are down, and I love it. So let's talk about the last part of this, which is really calorie restriction can prolong lifespan, which may be partly attributed to autophagy activation, especially litophagy, which is basically not only when you go through autophagy, there's three. There's litophagy, which is the fat, chopping up the fat and pushing that out, as well as we talked about mitophagy, which is basically recycling the mitochondria. And then autophagy is just at a cellular level, from a macro perspective, all of your cells doing what you need to do. So, it especially the litophagy and the mitophagy can lead to reduced oxidative stress in lipid content. Now, thus preventing and delaying the development of obesity-related complications. Meaning, if we're doing all this work, the fasting, we're doing the workouts, we're keeping the fat low, we're keeping the oxidative stress as well low, and our bodies are functioning at a high degree of aerobic output and heart health. So that's key. It's all key. So autophagy, exercise, understand, think about this. You got to recycle the old. You got to bring in a rejuvenative period so that your body can work at a high level. So just wanted to pass this on and get this out there, because again, like I said, I've been doing this since the beginning of the year. And I've seen a lot of keto people say, okay, keto is great, but we're coming over to intermittent fasting, and fasting is a new thing. I've been doing this all year. That's how I lost the 60 pounds. And these people are coming around to the thinking or some of the strategies that I've been using already to execute a 60-pound weight loss and maintain it. That's the key thing. People can lose weight. You can lose weight in different ways and different strategies, but the real question is, can you maintain it? And I can say with my vertical fasting program, I've been able to maintain a weight, a balance. And it's all about a strategy and a plan. For me, I am in between 218 pounds and 228 pounds. If I get outside that 228 pounds, I know how to dial up the fasting and dial up the workouts to get where I need to get and get back within the window. So that's key. And if you're able to control your health and the automations within your body, because your body is a very learning, or your mind is a very learning machine in which it knows what you want to do and what you typically do, and it knows some of the habits that you have. But if you're able to kind of take a hold and reprogram how you think, how you eat, and that's basically what I did. And that's why you don't see, a lot of this old rust on me, which I should have, and I did have, and, I shook it off. So, all right, that's going to be the discussion tonight. We're going to move on to the next. But again, when you think about recycling your old misfolded proteins, mitochondria, or if you're that type of person who's walking up the steps and, you can't breathe, or you feel old, let's look at some things that might help you to mitigate that. And fasting, and we're not talking about crazy workouts. We're talking about just low impact, cardiovascular, get on the elliptical, walk on the treadmill. But it's really it's the consumption of food in the state that you're in that gives you the ability to kind of build this endurance. So, like I said, from a recommendation standpoint, fasted state workouts, if you're going to do a 12-hour fast, at hour 10, go to the gym, walk on the treadmill, walk on the elliptical, get some, cardio output, And then, try to break your fast at hour 14, drink some water, maybe a little tea or some coffee, and you'll see that your endurance start to build from your efforts. Well, hey, we're going to end it on that. We appreciate you sticking with us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a great night. Take care.